in a great way, supporting me and helping me open up. And I needed help. You guys know I waited the first week. I didn't want to do anything. I was like, so what, we got 2 hours here? You know, but I finally realized if I do not expose what I'm going through internally, I am not going to get well. And so I just went for it. And it's been the best choice I possibly could make. And I keep wishing I could go back. Like, you know, just like an alumni meeting or an alumni group. Can we, you know,
class reunion?
I think we deserve that. I think we have been through something so similar, you know. It's like combat veterans get in a group and they commiserate. And they know what each other's jargon means. Well, guess what? So do we, you know. And so the thing is putting us in an environment where we feel safe. And this is what that was. It was really, really safe. And it was the first time I've had intimacy in a really long time where I was actually looking at another human being and really exposing something about myself. But it was in my own, it was for my own good. And I'm so grateful I did it. But you guys got skills to pry us open. I mean, that's big. Because I wasn't planning on talking. I was just going to go enjoy the scenery.
And one thing I have to say that's really interesting is it depends where you live. Because some of our other survivors are lucky if they get to have an appointment at the VA once a month. So it's really hard to open up.
Or by video. Sometimes just by video. Because they live so far away from the VA. So instead of helping a veteran who lives in a rural community.
I bet you didn't know this, but there is a quota that the VA has to make that 20% of their visits by psychologists have to be by television, telehealth.
It's all ridiculous.
There's a quota.
You have to go back and tell them that this isn't working. I mean, really, you know, I mean, there's nothing beats, you know, especially when you've been violated in that way, nothing beats being with a safe human being. You know what I mean? It refamiliarizes you with the normal behavior of like humans. You know, you don't have to be afraid of everybody.
I didn't know for the longest time that anybody had gone through what I'd gone through. I thought I had a unique story. And when I saw myself in this film, it was the first time I saw anyone say, yeah, he asked me if I was drinking. When I tried to report it, they asked me if I was drinking. Was I flirting? What was I wearing? Do I have a boyfriend? Is the guy married? You could be charged with adultery because he's married. Don't you think you just made a bad choice? All these questions that they asked me, I thought I was special. But it's like a script, and I didn't know that until this film brought it to light, and then I was able to discuss it in this amazing outpatient program that they have. So thank you guys.
Thank you for sharing. I want to see if there are any questions from the audience. I don't know if there's any microphone, or you can just maybe speak up. Do you have any questions for either about the program or about the survivors?
Very quiet audience.
Yes, go ahead.
Well, first of all, I think it's hard to ask questions because I have to say for myself, it's almost, I feel insensitive even asking you, you know, in this kind of platform, in this kind of situation. So maybe I could start in asking about the group type of thing I observed on the film. It looked like there was a real healing going on when everyone got together, compared stories. I'm hearing it again from you as well. So, you know, what would be the projection of creating more groups like that? Am I perceiving that correctly?
Well, in our program we have both. We do individual therapy and group therapy because it is important to do. I mean, Allison actually had to do an purely individual program, but it is our intention to always keep it both. It kind of depends on scheduling and everything, and so it worked out for her with her schedule just to the individual. But we do have both.
It's also interesting what we've decided, which also doesn't happen at the VA, is the women don't really talk about the exact trauma that happened to them in group. That's only discussed with their private therapist, because otherwise, if they start talking about it in a group situation, it's re-traumatizing and can actually cause more problems. So
for the other members of the group too,
exactly.
To have to hear
about it. So we found it easier to keep that kind of trauma just with the individual therapist.
If you don't have questions, you may have comments if you would like. We're open for that too. Go ahead.
So maybe possibly off the topic, but at the very end, it appeared that happily, you know, when you got the secretary within 2 days, or someone did, to change the chain of command, or the commander could not be the prosecution anymore. Is that made any leap forwards? I mean, who's prosecuting now, I guess is the question.
Me? No, just kidding.
There's
Okay,
a bill in Congress right now to take it out of the military completely, isn't there?
Yeah, so Congresswoman Jackie Spear of San Mateo wrote a bill last year. The HR number has now changed. It's called the STOP Act, and it's now HR 1593. And what it's asking for is getting it out of the chain of command and making a special victims unit. So it would still stay in the military, which, you know, the military is very apprehensive to give up any control over any of this. But more and more people are joining our way of thinking as survivors and victims that the number one thing they can do to help us is get it out of the chain of command. There's no reason anyone should be telling their boss they were raped, period. And, you know, you don't do it when you work at Walmart, and you don't do it when when you're a psychologist. You know, I mean, nobody's doing that. It's just the military. So they can have some things. They can have their court martials and all that crap, but these women in Senate and the congressional representative, Jackie Spear and others that I'm talking about, there are several bills out there right now. And one of them they talked about today basically takes it out of the chain of command again, but they're all focused on what the survivors are asking for. So when I saw that, what it said about Secretary Panetta, I just want to clarify. So his change that he made before he left office was to make it required that the victim would be reporting to someone of the rank of 06 or higher. Then former General Petraeus, who was at the time a CIA director, then got caught with his alleged affair, and then after that a general pulled a lieutenant colonel who was convicted of rape out of prison, and then we caught this sexual assault response guy attacking somebody in the parking lot over by the Pentagon. Is everyone familiar with the stuff that's been going on right now?
Mhm.
Like pretty much, or, I mean, basically ever since this movie came out, it's all been like,
And the rise in reporting has gone up 30%, and people are like, oh, there's way more rape. And I'm like, no, there's way
No.
more reporting because of this.
does that make sense? The numbers that have been recorded as reporting hasn't changed from last year to this year. The only difference, so there has not been an increase in reporting. What it is really people are starting to come out of the woodwork once they've seen the film, and they're going, oh my gosh, who do I tell? And still to this day, they can be in their hometown and be out of the military for 5 years, and they still have a right to file against that person that raped them. And so a lot of people are pursuing it in that way, trying to get justice. But it's just really sad that, unfortunately, what Secretary Panetta did was put it in a higher chain of command, but that didn't end up mattering, because now we're exposing we're exposing all these, you know, generals and lieutenant colonels, high leadership positions in charge of the sexual assault response coordinator program at the Pentagon, gets caught chasing after a woman in a parking lot trying to rape her. And she beat him up with a cell phone. And it's in his mugshot. I love that picture.
Scratches.
Yeah, and I do want to say too, I have been talking and doing a lot of these panels, and I'm very open about anything that you might have a question about. So please don't hesitate to ask me anything, and I'll do my best to answer it.
I see another one right back there.
Yes, I'm a recent graduate from this school here. I wanted to ask you something. I watched the documentary, but the name of the people who actually assaulted your women are not really in the documentary. And is it that because that's the choice that you guys make, or you were made to do that?
No,
With that entity?
well, I don't know if this happened for you, but I told the filmmakers my rapist's name because I've been trying to find him, because I know he did it again. And I know he did it again and again and again. And so what if he's been in the military this whole 18 years that I've got kicked out after reporting rape? What if he's now this high-ranking guy hiding under a rock right now, right? So the filmmakers did ask those of us who were interviewed to, you know, if we were willing to give the name of our rapist. I did that. They couldn't find him anywhere.
Did they want to know why they didn't bring up their assailants?
Yeah.
Yes.
Kirby's answer to that is that he didn't want to make this movie about them. He said this movie is about the people who are the survivors. That, I do remember him answering that question.
But
it's not about them. F them in the A.
Yeah. But I do agree, California girl right here. But I do agree though that now that the film has come out, and there's so much, there's a male survivor movie coming out this week, and we have several other documentaries that are coming out about MST. One's called Women of War. I saw it, it's wonderful. But my point is that there's been so much focus on what happens to the victims, and no focus on what's going on inside the mind of a predator. And I haven't seen that yet. So that story
thesis that I did was called Welcome Home Soldier. And he was a husband who came home with PTSD and he was raping his wife.
Wow.
So we screened that here.
Wow.
November 4th, 2011. I just recently moved from Florida and back here so I can pursue my career. Yesterday, and I saw the invite, and this is something that I'm very involved in. And I said, let me come and check out the documentary. But my film was about him coming back home and not willing to deal with his issues, and his wife and his kids was paying the price for it.
Yeah.
So it was like, yeah.
That's heavy.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for doing that. Thank you, really.
Yes,
So what is your fundraising goal?
in total?
That's a good question.
Well, we're hoping for this year to do $250,000. And I know it sounds like a lot, but there's so many women out there. I mean, Katie has a list of...
I've been giving them survivors like endlessly. And the more people that watched that spot on Katie Couric where they saw us up there and saw how peaceful I was, and people that knew me before, they say to me all the time, what did you do? I go, I didn't do it, I just participated. You've got to call them because, you know, nobody offers this. So it's just life-changing. I wish I could tell you guys all the things that have changed, but just my self-confidence alone and the fact that I'm able to sit right here, I'm not loaded, and I'm happy to be here. And I don't mind talking about MST anymore because I know we're going to change it in my lifetime. I can see it happening now with all of your support, you know. But people are really sick right now and they're suffering, and there are a lot of people on this wait list already. So I'm praying that others get to go through this so we can all kind of help each other through.
We can't wait for the VA, you guys. Coming from somebody who works at the VA. My claim took 4.5 years. It was denied 3 times. And that's enough to cause more PTSD in and of itself to have to go through that process. And if we can just forgo that and get some of these women into this program, that would be absolutely spectacular. I was fortunate. I was in this film. My claim, once the director of Veterans Benefits, undersecretary of the VBA, General Allison Hickey, found out I was in this film. After 4.5 years of my claim being filed, within 2 weeks, I got my exam and was rated. Once they found out I was in this film. But there are hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people who are not in this film.
And they're not on Facebook, and they don't know others exist, or they're just isolating and suicidal, which we haven't really talked about that much, but I mean, there are several sets of parents, okay, that love these survivors because their kids committed suicide. When they got kicked out of the Army or the Marine Corps after reporting rape, they got home and they got so depressed that they committed suicide. And those parents have lost their children and have found us. And so now we're filling a void for them in a way because we're doing all this advocacy and they're seeing we're actually making changes. And they just wish their kids would have been able to stick around and be able to do that themselves. And that's kind of where this program, for me, this is what I see the value in the program, is it really saves lives. Because I was having suicidal ideations. I didn't know why, but some days I would wake up and I would just be like, yeah, I don't have a purpose and I really don't want to be here. And I would isolate all day long and then, you know, maybe just take the VA pills and go on. And now I wake up and I'm actually on fire. I mean, they know when I was in the program, I would wake up at 5 in the morning and there was a hot tub there. And no one said really whether or not we could use
I didn't
it.
get the hot tub in the outfit.
No,
So
you got,
sorry.
you
So
got
that's the
shafted.
difference between outpatient and inpatient.
I watch the sun come up every morning and the sun go down every night. And let me tell you, if you don't have a spiritual awakening by being a part of the earth just at those 2 moments of the day, like now, that's what I do. It's a part of my everyday now. When I am at home, I watch the sun come up.